To weave in ends as you're knitting, the first step is to attach your new yarn and knit the first stitch in that yarn, like so. Then the next stitch is where you're going to catch your tail. You're going to insert your needle into the stitch, wrap the tail counterclockwise around the right hand needle, then wrap your working yarn like a knit stitch around your right hand needle and unwrap the tail piece of yarn. So I unwrap that in a clockwise motion and then finish the stitch. So bring through the working yarn and complete the stitch. Your next stitch is going to be knit, and then you're going to repeat that wrapping sequence. So in the stitch, wrap the tail, wrap the real stitch, unwrap the tail, and then bring the new stitch through. Every other stitch you're going to connect that way. So I'm knitting a stitch and then I'm working my wrapped stitch where I'm carrying along the tail in the back of the work like so. I'm going to knit a row and come back. This is what it looks like on the wrong side after 2 rows have been worked. And now on my 3rd row, I'm going to weave in the tail that I started, the new color that I started with. So I'm working seed stitch here. My first stitch is purl. On my knit stitch, the second stitch, that's where I'm going to start wrapping my tail in the same way that I did when I was working the first row of this color. So wrap the yarn around, wrap the real stitch, unwrap the tail, and then pull the real stitch through. That's the front end. This is the back. For wools and sort of fluffy yarns, you can just cut the yarns right here. If you have something a little more slippery or silky, I would recommend threading them backwards a stitch or two to catch them. Happy knitting!